Kirsten Haynes.
No, they're not.
Ringer. Cooper Rhodes.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are here with your Beef Showmanship show. My name is Tucker Brown, and I'm here with
Cooper Eads.
Yes, we are very excited to bring the show to you. We were here with Mr. Frills just a little bit ago. Here to look at who presents their cow the best for the senior showmanship competition here.
And you know, Tucker, right off the bat, I see a lot of these students, they're walking calm, collected, they're keeping an eyes on the cattle around them, as well as the judge, which, as we learned earlier, with I believe it was the dairy feeder show, that was something that the judge mentioned was very pivotal. They're also not holding their sticks too high or too far out. He compared them to flagpoles. He just wants to see them move. They need to blend in with each other. You don't want to stand out because you're showing off the livestock. You just so this is about how you can present it.
I mean, you are entirely right, Cooper. Again, an important thing to mention that this show is not specifically about the cows this time. It is about the cows a little bit, as in how the people present them, how they, you know, carry themselves along with the cows, and also just how they treat their fellow competitors. You know, you've seen in multiple other showmanship shows that, like, people save their competitors' animals and get their own, or somebody will just help take care of an animal of one of their competitors is more likely to win just because, you know, it's about showmanship. I mean, you look at showmanship and you could compare it to sportsmanship in football or something.
Yeah, a lot of these kids following the same form that we were taught earlier, and it's looking really good. A big thing that we've noticed is keeping an eye on the judge and those around you. That's been heavily mentioned in almost every show. Just being aware of your surroundings. So that's always been a good thing. And a lot of these 4-Hers have been good about that.
You know, and what you see during sportsmanship or showmanship is, you know, they try to keep direct eye contact with the judge for as long as they can until they need to pay attention to their animal, you know.
Just take care of them, check
As
up
we
on them.
see, he might get ready to walk up and talk to a kid now. Apologize for any camera movement on your TV screens. We'll just try to follow the judge as much as we can. You can see the judge making sure they're carrying themselves, presenting, you know, their feet are planted.
And how they've set up their cattle as well.
Here he gets ready.
Oh, this first heat of senior showmanship, these 5 youngsters are a little bit at a disadvantage because they don't really know what I like or what I'm going to do and how my perception of showmanship is. So I'll give you a little bit of overview, and it doesn't really matter in this particular heat. I'm going to keep 3 of them out of here because they're not doing what I don't like. So, I mean, it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. You know, I don't like people that overshow. You know, I'm a pretty simple guy. I'm not going to ask any questions because whether you know how many stomachs they have or how much you're feeding your calf, doesn't matter whether you can show cattle or not. Either you have the God-given talent or you don't. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, you don't have to waste any motion. The calmer and the more direct that you can be, the farther you're going to get with me. I don't really even want to see the showman. Every time I want to see the animal, if it's set up with the way it needs to be, that's all that matters. You know, you use your show stick to loin them, bring their top up. You know, that's not only a weapon, but it's a savior as well. It can help you out the way that you get your animal set up and what they can look like when you use your stick and use it the way it can be used. So, you know, those things are pretty simple for me. You don't have to stare a hole in me. You know, as long as you know where I'm at and you know where you're going and you leave yourself enough room to get parked the way you want to, and knowing when your animal is set up the way it needs to be. And that's the very, very important thing that to me, is what you knowing as a showman what you need to do, because yeah, you can have them all set the way they need to be on a profile, but if their legs are jammed up underneath them too much or they're stretched too much, it doesn't matter. They're not set up properly or the best of their ability. So when you know how you like them set up, or if their feet are placed properly, that's a big plus. And be confident in how you go about it. And I'm not big on circling. So, and I know it's getting later in the day and these cattle are going to get tired, so they're going to want to move. But if you train them to park for 10, 15 minutes at a time, every time you set them up, they are creatures of habit. They will continue to do that. They will do that every time. And you can really tell the ones that have their cattle broke extremely well are better than others, because those cattle are just natural at parking the way they want them to. So, that's very, very important, the amount of time that's spent on them. And sometimes, they just have a bad day. There's no doubt about it. Cattle are cattle. So at home, they could be perfect, and you come to the show, and they don't do what you need them to do. It's just a fact of life that sometimes it happens. So anyway, the three that I'm going to keep are the three young ladies up here on this end. They're coming back for the senior final. Give them all of them a nice hand in this particular heat.
There we go. We just heard what the judge is really looking for here. Those three young ladies on the end there are going to stay, as he just said. But yeah, it's about how you present your animal, your skill as a showman, as it's in the word, how you show your animal.
All right, our second class of senior showmen. Paige Crusher. Emerson Rhodes. Wyatt Rhodes. Rosalind Albaugh. Ethan Young. Addison Brown.
Well, Cooper, you're breathing pretty heavy, so is there anything you're thinking about for this show?
No, not particularly. I just have a cold. But I will say we do have a lot of good showmen out here.
You do? You really see that eye contact. You see the what it looks like talking among competitors, and
and for the most part, most of their cattle are broke. They're not having to circle a whole lot.
Yeah, and something you could mention, or maybe we forgot to mention, is, also it's the way that you present yourself when you're getting your cow back under control,
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're control, or if you lose control and you have to circle, and maybe he's not broke so well, just keeping your composure in those times, and, everything will be all right.
That's right. As we just saw, there was some nice teamwork there, getting that cow to move.
Well, we get into this heat. I'm only going to keep 2 out of this heat. We really get to comparing how these youngsters go about it. There's 2 of them that are really comfortable. They're really good at what they do. They know what they need to do, and they're very passionate about it, as you can see. I mean, there's 2 of them that do the right things when they need to do them, and that's very, very important as well. And they know when their cattle are set up the way they need to be. There's no doubt about that. They got their cattle trained extremely well, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the rest of them, and I could go through and tell each and every one of them little things that they could change, but the next time they show, it's going to be somebody else judging, and they're going to look at it completely different. So, it depends on what you want to do and how you want to go about it is how well you do in situations like this. So, it's all about moving with your animal as you travel around the ring, lead them around the ring. Like I said, I don't really even want to notice the showman as I'm viewing showmanship. And if you're moving with your animal, you don't notice the showman. You just notice the animal. In this particular heat, the young lady in the green and the young man right behind her in the orange will be the 2 come out of this heat. Give them all a nice round of applause in this one.
Right there's the young lady who won, and then the young man. They will be moving on.
We will now bring in our 3rd class of senior beef showmanship.
Right here, this is going to be your 3rd wave of senior showmanship. Looks to me as if we have 2 right there and a couple more
Aiden
coming in
Yale.
after.
Elijah Hakey. Bo Martin. Lane Snyder. Evan Polinsky. And Stella Dinkerhoff.
Let's give these 6 youngsters a great round of applause in this heat. I'm just going to keep 2 out of this heat. There's 2 of them that are just at a little bit different level as far as being comfortable out here and moving with their animal like I talked in that last heat. And every time I've looked at them, they've got them set up where they need to be. Their foot placement is correct. So, I mean, that's kind of took them over the top of the rest of them out here. And that, you know, unfortunately, it comes down to that. And it's a very quick decision, I know, but I've seen all these youngsters all day today or throughout the day. So, I mean, showmanship is a little easier, and you can do it faster when it's at the end of the show like this. The 2 coming out of this heat is this young lady back here with the heifer and the young man with the cowboy hat. Give them a nice round of applause.
You know, I was keeping an eye on the kid with the cowboy hat during the last show, and I was keeping an eye on it, and I thought he was going to win showmanship because he was acting just like I had heard during the feeder show, and he was acting like that. And I think already showing that in another show already helped back up that.
We will now bring in everyone that was held back for the Senior Beef Showmanship Champion and Reserve. Kirsten Haynes, Isabella Albaugh, Callista Albaugh, Rosalind Albaugh, Ethan Young, Stella Dinkerhoff, Evan Polinsky.
Well, I made myself a lot of work right here when I kept the ones I did, and I told Ryan before when that last heat walked out, I said, I think I got this figured out, who's going to win this. That was wrong. I was wrong, because when you got them back out here, how close they are and what they're doing is pretty incredible. You watch each and every one of them, how they get their cattle set up and the way they go about it. You know, there is one of them that has impressed me the whole day, how they've went about it, and very, very nonchalant, but there's the thing about it is that their cattle always look good. I mean, it didn't matter what they were showing, where they were at in the ring, their cattle always looked good. And that's stuck with me this whole day. And I'm not taking anything away from any of the rest of them out here. Any of these youngsters right here can win this. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're that close, so you have to make a decision. So, you know, unfortunately, there's going to be some of them left out of here, and probably reserve isn't good enough either for that one when you get to this level, because these youngsters right here are certainly at a different level than most county fairs, the way they go about it and the fundamentals and knowing when their cattle are set up good and just the ease that they just so comfortable in the way they go about showing their cattle. I can talk a long time about this. Reserve in this senior showman is a young lady down here. Champion is the young lady with the black and white one right here. Congratulations.
Your senior beef showmanship winner, Stella Dinkerhoff. Your reserve, Kirsten Haynes.
Congratulations to everybody. All of those kids did phenomenal. Yeah, and as he said, that was really close.
Intermediate beef showmanship will now enter the ring. We have 3 heats of intermediate beef showmanship. Brantley Aldridge. Kendall Crusher. Avery Fuller. Leah Crusher. Owen Brown.
Well, we get into this first heat of these intermediates. Sure some struggles going on with cattle and the way these things are broke at this point, and maybe it's just the end of the day, and that's just how it is. But there's a couple of them out here in this heat that just have the mechanics down just a little bit finer tuned for me, the way they go about it, and there's little things just like the halter, where the halter is on their nose. It needs to be moved up on a couple of these animals to make them look a little more attractive from a show standpoint. Down on their nose a little bit too far takes away from them, and it's a thing that's a noticeable thing as a judge where the halter is positioned. You need to have it in the right place of their head, and there's no doubt that the way the cattle are broke have a big difference in that regard, and if they lead and if they don't. But to me, the two that have the mechanics down just a little bit better or a little bit finer tuned is these two young ladies right here in the middle, a young lady with the yellow turning and a young lady right here in the red with the gray steer. Give them all a nice round of applause in this first heat.
We have our second class of intermeat beef showmen. Rudy Shaw. Big fan. Maddox Brown. Maya Brown. Rylan Aubaugh.
Let's give all four of these intermediates a nice round of applause. There's definitely two in this heat that got their cattle broke a little bit better. They're a little more confident and secure in what they're doing out here, and it really shows when you get off of them and watch each and every one of them how they go about it. So you know, it's pretty easy for me. The young lady down here with this Bronco face steer is one of them, and the young man up here with a Blaze face steer is the other one. Congratulations.
We will now bring in the third and final class of intermediate. Hans Hakey, Colby Fuller, Adeline Malcolm, Bowen Clifford, and Braylon Knox. This is a little bit different heat here. They got their cattle broke just a little bit better. These intermediates do, and you can sure tell that as the way they go about it. And there's a couple of, well, I'm going to actually keep 3 out of these 5. They deserve to be in the finals the way they have their cattle broke and the way they go about it. And there's one of them that has been really grown on me throughout this heat, watching this youngster go through this, because they are really comfortable. And if you're not watching this showman, you're going to miss them, because they are so natural in the way they go about it. And their cattle got their cattle set up extremely well. So, I mean, my compliments go out to each and every one of these youngsters, and particularly in this heat. The young man down here with this black heifer, Young man right here with the Bronco face, black one, and the young lady right here with this little black steer. They'll be coming back. Give them all a nice round of applause.
We will now bring back into the arena the winners from all of the classes of showmanship.
Here's going to be your showmanship finale coming up.
Rudy Shaw, Rylan Aubaugh, Avery Fuller, Leah Kresher, Colby Fuller, Bowen Clifford, and Braylon Knox.
How about we give all these finalists here in the intermediates a great round of applause? You know, this comes down to two of them out here, and I'm not trying, like I said earlier, I'm not trying to take anything away from the other ones in this final, but it comes down to two, and the one that's going to end up being reserved just broke nervous a little bit here at the end and got just a little bit quicker in their motion and wasted just a little bit of motion. got to sawing just a little bit too fast with that show stick. So, I mean, and it comes down to little things like that. And it's not that they did anything wrong. I mean, they always had their cattle looking extremely good. Here at the end, just got just a little bit nervous or broke nervous just a little bit, and it's completely understandable. It's hard to contain your emotions when you're trying to win and you give it your all, and still do the things that you need to do. So for reserve, the young man right down here with the Bronco faced one. Champion is the young lady right here in the blue with this big steer. Congratulations.
Your champion intermediate beef showman is Rylan Albaugh. Your reserve, Bowen Clifford. We will do junior beef showman next, and we have one class for that. All right, we're ready to bring in the junior beef showmanship. Indy Clifford. Hadley Shepard. Brigham Yard. Caden Brown. Jay Albaugh. Claire Steeman. Rhett Mannon. Emerson Mannon. I don't know if that's who.
About giving these youngsters a great round of applause in this junior final. You know, each and every one of them. There's not much I could tell any of them to do any different. They have the mechanics down. They know the fundamentals. They know what they need to do. It's just a question of more times in the ring and just getting more comfortable when you hit the ring on where you're going and where your cattle need to set up or how they need to be set up. And there's a couple of them out here that no doubt have that figured out big time. Their cattle have been set up extremely good every time that they park. And, you know, that's very important. And what's going to separate these is what I talked about in that last division, that there's one of them that just sawing just a little bit too fast. I mean, and I don't know, I'm sure it's got to be nerves, and maybe it's that's the way they've always done it. I don't know. But there's one in particular that's going to win this. It's just so relaxed and so confident and comfortable in the way their cattle are parked. It's pretty incredible to watch each and every one of them, but especially this youngster. The youngster is going to be reserved down here in this junior showmanship. This young lady down here with a short horn. And the one that's going to win this is the young man right here with this big black steer, this Bronco face steer. Give him a nice hand.
Your champion junior beef showman, Jay Albaugh. Your reserve champion, Indy Clifford. We will now shortly bring in your premier beef showmanship contestants. Once again, I would like to thank our sponsors of the beef show, Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Austin Tiernan. I'm not sure if he's still out there, but if he is, go visit his tent, sign up for some free giveaways, and get some popcorn. Also would like to thank our judge for this evening, Todd Herman, for coming, and everyone else that sponsors and enjoys the 4-H programs. Premier Beef Showmanship, Charlotte Albaugh, Stella Dinkerhoff, and Reese Williams.
We're going to pick this premier, and it's unfortunate that you have to pick one out of these three because these three showmen are pretty incredible. Watch them go about this, how natural they are, comfortable they are, how secure they are, the drive that they have. You know, there's not any wasted motion in these three showmen as you watch them go. They've got their cattle broke extremely well. You can see that every time they park them, and the things that they do with their show stick to help their animals out. It is pretty impressive for me as an evaluator to see this kind of consistency and quality in a showman is really impressive. And I've thoroughly enjoyed today working with Kyle and Ryan. They've been a huge help, and I've enjoyed being with them out here in the ring, and they've helped me out many steps. And the ladies up here at the table, what they do has been really impressive for me to go work with people that have the passion to make sure the show goes the way it's supposed to. It's give all three of them a great round of applause. Your winner down there showing the belt to Galloway. Congratulations.
Your champion premier beef showman was Charlotte Albaugh. Reserve, Reese Williams. We will now bring in 2 classes of Pee Wee showmen. Give us just a minute to wrangle all these kids up, and we'll get them out here. These are in no particular order, even though there are 2 heats. This is in absolutely no particular order, and like I said, there are 2 heats of them, so I will re-announce the names just in case I missed them the first time. Gavin Pearson, Rhett Wolf, Harper Leisure, Wyatt Ridge, Piper Worsler, Charlie Worsler, Reed Sutton, River Sutton, Les Pranger, Corey Pranger, Paisley Freeman, Brody Freeman, Levi Malcolm, Leona Yard, Colby Dove, Carson Dove, Miles Black, a.k.a. Bubba Brown, he said, and Waylon Ridge.
How about we give all these youngsters a great round of applause? It's pretty neat watching them. Some of them want to hold the show stick. Some of them want to lead. Some of them just want to hold their helper's hand. So, I mean, that's very, very important. You get to this point. You know, I could go through and talk to them, but, I mean, we've been here long enough. And just watching these youngsters come out here and have the guts to do it with some help is pretty impressive. You sure have to be proud of your young people, even at this age. Give them another great round of applause. They all get a participation ribbon as they exit.
Great job, kids. Grab your ribbons on the way out, and we'll get our second heat going. All right, like I said, in no particular order, and some of the kids might have already went through, we will read through the list of our minis one more time here as they enter the show ring. Gavin Pearson, Rhett Wolf, Harper Leisure, Wyatt Ridge, Piper Worsler, Charlie Worsler, Reed Sutton, River Sutton, Les Pranger, Corey Pranger, Levi Malcolm, Leona Yard, Colby Dove, Carson Dove, Miles Black, a.k.a. Bubba Brown, Paisley Freeman, Brody Freeman, and Tegan Moffler. As you leave the bleachers tonight, if you could please pick up any trash that is left around you. It helps the crew that is cleaning not to be here so late. So if you could please grab what's around you and take it with you, that would be great.
Boy, folks, this is what it's all about, seeing these youngsters in this particular heat. Some of them are doing it basically on their own and at this age and probably no more than they've been in the ring. That's so impressive and such a bright future in front of each and every one of these young people. Give them all a great round of applause as they get their participation ribbon on the way out.
We would once again like to thank our judge, Todd Herman, for tonight. And thank you for coming to the 2025 DeKalb County 4-H Beef Show.